Hi, I'm Lori Brown. Thanks for finding Pondercast. We are an independent podcast, which means we are supported by our listeners. If you find that our work supports you, we hope that you'll consider supporting us, either with a small monthly donation or a one-time annual shot in the arm. You can find both those options at patreon.com/pondercast. Okay, here's a grounding thought for you. I was looking through some old boxes of family stuff, as one does from time to time, and came across this little white plastic box. It said Hickok on the side of it, and it was to hold cufflinks or tie clips. Anyways, it was my grandfather's. There was one cufflink inside, one tie clip, and a lapel pin, and it said YMCA War Service. I know my family did a lot during the war here in Yarmouth, Nova Scotia with the YMCA. There was a soldier's canteen that my aunt ran, and I imagine she got most of her family to help out there. My grandfather would have played piano, helped soldiers write letters home, and talked to all those young men who were waiting to get on a ship and head to war. It got me thinking about the home effort during war and all that got accomplished during that time. Important work, done under difficult circumstances. And I've been wondering what it is you call that we are all doing now. The important work of staying home, avoiding people, staying away from our own family, and the toll that that is taking on us all. We're not soldiers, but all that we do and do without, this endurance test that we're all part of, it feels a lot like the war efforts of past generations. Sometimes I feel like I don't really have the kind of endurance it's going to take, and that hopeless, helpless feeling descends. I have been telling myself to have courage. To call it courage feels shameful, an embarrassing overstatement of what the pandemic has asked of us. None of us will get a medal, a citation. A participant's ribbon and a story to tell feels more in line. We live in comfort, brimming with privilege. We compare our hardship, our grief and loss to those who came before. This isn't war. It's not genocide. It's not starvation. And so we talk ourselves out of our feelings. We see what we still have instead. Electricity, the internet. So much of pandemic isolation looks like luxury. Groceries delivered, everything brought to our door. The world now comes to us. We are still overwhelmed by choice. The verdict comes down. Our grief feels unearned, our losses too small to count. But still, sorrow persists, wailing like a spoiled child until shame silences us. We can't seem to give ourselves permission to feel our loss or see the courage in what we do, carrying on in spite of the unknowns, not knowing when it will end or how. Poet David Whyte thinks that when you lead with your heart, that is actually what courage is. And think about how much you do these days, or don't do right now, because of love. To protect and care for family members, for friends, neighbors, people you know and people you don't know. This is courage that comes from the heart. It's not the typical bravery definition, We are not slaying a dragon here, but it's courage fueled by love. That too is courage. I'm thinking later, post-vaccine later, we will look back and see our effort now in a clearer light. That we might see it as tenacity in the face of uncertainty, endurance in the midst of pain and grief. That is the dictionary definition of courage. We don't see what it is that we're doing now as courageous, but it is. We hardly even recognize it at coming from the heart, but it does. I wonder if my grandfather ever wore that YMCA war service pin, or how he felt about it. He kept it, that much I know. Did he feel like we feel now, that our home effort contribution is, in comparison, nothing to the loss and effort that others have shouldered? My son is a frontline worker. He's exhausted. He's beyond frustrated by people in the grocery store that still don't get it. He's had no time off in the summer, no socializing with friends or family, as he is our family's biggest risk. I wrapped up his grandfather's YMCA war service pin and gave it to him for Christmas. When this endurance test is finally over, we will have tested our mettle profoundly, and we'll have burnished a tenacity we didn't know we had. I hope we can see it then. If I had a ton of these war service pins, I'd send you all one, because we are not just the new version of the home effort. We are also the front line, the only line. Courage.